Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to Beyond Your Radio. Welcome to Unknown Sundays. It's time to talk about something out there in the music multiverse that might be relatively unknown, that some of our listeners, watchers, appreciators, collectors might have missed, might be interested in a rabbit hole to go down, so to speak. It can be from the past or it can be from the present. Or a combination of both. Please remember that this is an extension of the article sections on beyondyourradio.com. The link is there, written there by me, and links to all those artists that feed off of this particular one today. And I'll apologize for last week that this was supposed to be last week's episode. Was a little flooded in the basement due to a sump pump inactivity. So here we go. This Unknown Sunday 2025, I venture into the world of Tod A. Todd Ashley. My musical adventure starts with a used bin purchase, of course, and I truly know the reason why I picked this album up. First of all, y'all know I get a great deal. I'm willing to take I don't know, what do you call it? I know nothing about this kind of risk. And that's kind of where this comes. But this one was one of those occasions where I had a little something more that gave me a push in the direction of this particular band, this particular individual. 2001 release that didn't exactly set the record purchasing world on fire. How could they go against competition like Radiohead's Amnesiac, Bjork's Vespertine? The Strokes even had Is This It? You had Death Cab for Cutie. I had Train's Drops of Jupiter. I want to say Alicia Keys, Sum 41. Who else had the Shins and Drowning Pool had debut albums in that year too, along with the Gorillaz. So that's a lot to comprehend and get around and get your name out of. What gave me that push? How did I come to find a band that was relatively underground as it probably gets at a certain point? Well, an important part of the music multiverse that we don't talk in sight that much on this channel, although one of our panelists is actually from this particular institution. That's college radio. And in this instance, Rochester, New York, passing by the Thruway on my way to a food service training demo in the middle of our lovely state, which, if you know our state relatively well, that drive can be full of nothing because it's just a straight standard drive on the Thruway. And this comes on. Maybe I could have been a billionaire if I wasn't always broke, and I could be a comedian if I wasn't such a joke. Guess I knew it all along. Being born's where I went wrong. I always took the medication I was fed. Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Well, come on, right? How's that going to stay not in your head for the trip? I couldn't get it out of my head, thank God. Oh, and they've got a line for him too, for God. Yeah. That he's made of wood. God is great and God is good, but he's also made of wood. Come on. This is where it is. This is the self-proclaimed raging success of failure of a very creative and truly alternative sounding band, Firewater on Unknown Sundays 2025. The album that began my journey, well, it's this one here, Psychopharmacology. There's a title for you, right? It's that simple. To me, this is one of my favorite discoveries in the music multiverse. All the record bins and stores and things. This is an album that somehow I continually come back to even after years and years of not listening to it, or not years and years, but months and months and maybe a year of not listening to it. And I'm still struck by it. And there's some other things here going on I'll get to, but it has this, I don't know, Vaudevillian type of approach to the music and the delivery. So you had your Bare Naked Ladies, right? And your Nick Cave. So why is this not gaining ear attraction? He also had a tone delivery that kind of reminded me of Soul Coughing's Mike Doughty in certain musical choices. Here's the grunge operational vocal spewing this vaudevillian songwriting style and then manifesting genre melting instrumentation. that's not only clever, but considerably catchy. All the songs are considerably catchy, but oddly catchy. They're not familiar catchy. Most of the music is completely inclusive and has this pull of fun and farce and frivolity. But it admits an underlying sincere position or thinking about a problem. It involves all kinds of instrumentive changes that are equal to the frivolity. Seriously, don't take it too serious, but be aware, seriously, because it's a bad, bad world. Yes, that's Jennifer Charles on that particular track, who she's also worth checking out. She has been the lead vocalist of Elsie and Field for a very long time, who's had members of Jeff Buckley in her band. I think every member. Not only that, but artists as far as them from Medeski, Martin, and Wood, who will actually be next week's Unknown Sunday. And this isn't the music you'd think for those jazz-minded individuals. Sort of like a dream pop rock, indie rock, and elemental soundscapes. It's beautiful stuff. So Tod A, who founded the band Cop Shoot Cop. Noise rock, alternative, almost metalish, projective, and they were on Interscope. All right. Now, there's a record label that had different variations and different cubby holes to put people in. And honestly, when the production of this, when I saw the costs of these records to be produced, someone should have been fired. These records are horribly produced. They sound awful. And they are absolutely poorly recorded. There's great mustard in the lyrics, but the music is so poorly mixed and managed. It's more of an amazement to me that the project lasted as long as it did before Tod decided to move on from the project. I'm pretty sure he was leaving before the 1996, where the band kind of ended. There was an issue with the record company Interscope that they weren't really treating them all that well. And it's just listen to the recording. This could have been Faith No More in a position somewhat. So originally, Cop Shoot Cop began as a trio, featuring him, of course, the bass player and the songwriter. And then you had David on keyboard, and you had Phil on drums. And Phil loved to put all kinds of crazy metal on his kit from time to time. Tod was able to pull David in with him when he extracted himself out of Cop Shoot Cop and started the band Firewater. Now, the only person in Firewater that kind of holds still throughout is Tod. So that's why he's pictured back here. But there's a collective of individuals that really made a conscious musical choice to have the noise rock end and the angst kind of end, and use the hints and allegations of ska, jazz, like gypsy rock, and the idea of a collective forefront. However, he never lost his songwriting style and tenacity. It's still there. He just allowed the tone, the kind of the timing, and importance of melody and music and the instruments to take more of the hold and the enjoyment in it all. To me, these were perfect choices. Here's a quote that might kind of give you an idea to summing up Tod's songwriting. It says here, Tod A is the Andrew Vox of underground rock, telling stories of pathetic losers and maniac outsiders who believe they are the sane ones. I love it. I love it. So I come in at the album I can't seem to get enough of, and I've already done that, Pharmacology. Well, that's a problem because that I didn't realize was not the starting point of the band. So there are a couple prior. All right, so you know me, I can solve that problem relatively quickly. I got Ponzi scheme. Boom, done. Right? Hell, I even went later on and picked up this album here, which is Songs They Wish They Wrote, which is a covers record. And I've got other ones. So get off the cross. We need the wood for fire. Yeah, that's the debut. All right. So what do they got in this? Imagine if I'd started there. Imagine if there was a streaming service back then when this was released in 1996, maybe. There wasn't, obviously. And I didn't have the record. Well, here comes Amazon. I still didn't have the record until yesterday. Amazon comes along and says, "Hey, here you don't have this." Listening in, little suckers. So yeah, I've got that, and apparently I could get it with a copy of The Man on the Burning Tightrope, which I had a prior knowledge of for some reason, but I never got into, even though it's the second record after, it's the next record after Psychopharmacology. Um, so click, click, that's all done. The disease is real. You guys realize it behind me. Um, Kind of that cabaret poke and prod and I don't know. This is a little bit dirty on this one with "When I Burn the Place Down," "Mr. Cardiac," and the instrumental "Drunken Jew," which is among other fine titles of the rabbit hole of narratives you could political positions and worldly not so good advice you could go down on this record. So, to be honest with you, it might not have helped me. Why? Well, because of the year. What else was going on? Where it all started. I mean, at that point, New Adventures in Hi-Fi is out from REM. That dominated my musical playing. Evil Empire from Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, Guerrilla Radio. Turn that shit up. The scores by the Fugees, of course. You had Anima Tool, and you had Beck's Odelay in there too, not to mention other ones. Where would this even have fit in the music scene, or anyone for that matter? College radio. That's my guess. At that point in college radio, I was probably doing a little bit of it, but I was so trapped in what was happening and what was coming out and trying to get ahead of what everything was coming out that it didn't happen. Those adventurous, studious, drunken, sexually charged heathens that will become the workforce, decision makers, and sounding boards for the next generation. Oh, yeah, that's a scary, truthful thought. Wait a minute. That's kind of like the writing of Tod A, right? So is he writing this, or am I just channeling his process? I hope he doesn't sue me. Firewater has included in their collective artists that have been in bands like Gogo Bordello, Soul Coughing. Oh, imagine that, right? Jesus Lizard, among those of others. Those members from Cop Shoe Cop and or Firewater have formed some very interesting side projects, like the always talked about Swans. Good luck there. That's a very interesting one to get down and get into. Not only that, but Tod has found more musical accomplishment in banjo, bongo, electrical guitar, samplings, and all kinds of cool notes. So as well as this world traveling he's done. He's kind of got this. It's gained him the momentum and the viewpoints and perspectives to write these kind of songs and craft beyond that of even Firewater. Now, when I say craft beyond Firewater, what other band? No, not another band. We're talking about writing in general, blog writing regarding his travels, and the last album came in 2012, International Orange, which was recorded actually in Istanbul with longtime mixer, producer, and collaborator Tamir Muscat. So this is kind of where he's going. He's now living in Istanbul. He's recording in Tel Aviv. He's traveled the world in the places that most of us probably would go, but in a sparing position, not trying to engulf it all. So this self-described world punk is a fitting title to some degree, and Tod gives that title. I feel that it puts it too far in a position where the alternative and subgenres that he's melded and played with and packs into all these albums could be sacrificed in that kind of title. I would describe it as vaudevillian, alternative collective with the punch of punk, the creativeness of jazz, in those structures too, wrapped up in a sensible yet sardonic lyrical approach and delivery that is truly one of the music multiverse's treasures that need to be discovered. Tod A is even contemplating music revival. I don't know if he is. There hasn't been anything since 2012. His passion for knowledge, travel, seeking out the experience and guise of the world's order, far from the creature stupid comforts that Western world, and his attention and that of many others that follow him doing this. I've just discovered his first novel, Banging the Monkey, which appears to be a fictional story wrapped up in a culmination of his world experiences, but done in the usual style of his writing and punk forward. I don't know. It's. I'm not done with it, but it's definitely you can tell if you've been a fan of Firewater and Todd's writing, you get wrapped up in it. There's no question. Um, he is a permanent resident of Istanbul, from what I can gather. Um, I believe he also lived in Bali. Perhaps there's a collaborative process with Tin Arwen that could be possible in the music multiverse future between him. I would think he'd love that kind of stuff and know people who are in that mix, as this kind of music is starting to come to a little bit more of the forefront, considering it's been produced now by people like Daniel Lanois. I guess he could be in a tropical depression of sorts somewhere. Yes, tropical depression is one of the last songs on the last record. But I'll always have Firewater. And you can too. If you've never taken a shot, go ahead. Yes, I'm finally getting to the mention of the drink. But like my wife says on the show, look it up. Firewater albums, those in my collection I'll mention. Get Off the Cross, We Need the Wood for the Fire, 1996. I do now have that record thanks to Amazon. The Ponzi Scheme from 1998. I have that. Psychopharmacology from 2001, where it all started for me. I have that. The Man on the Burning Tightrope in 2003. Thanks to Amazon, I now possess that one. Songs We Should Have Written, which is a covers record in 2004. It actually has a up-tempo Folsom Prison on there and some other great renditions. I have that one. The Golden Hour, 2008. I could have swore I had it, but I can't find it, so maybe I never got it. And then finally, International Orange with an exclamation point, 2012. Also, those last two were on Bloodshot Records. Might have been the biggest one they had from a standpoint of record label. That one came out in 2012. I don't have that record. Although, in my link in the writing, there is a link to them playing a radio station with some of those recordings. What did you think of Firewater? Did you know them? Were you a follower? Did you know Cop Shoot Cop? Did you explore any of those offshoots that I talked about? Let me know. I'd love to hear your comments, what your perspective is, and, if you have every album now. We're on the web at BeyondYourRadio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. We've got articles, we got videos, we got podcasts coming soon. That's all about albums, bands, artists, bands like this, artists like this. Anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Join me next week when I will be doing, yes, Brooklyn's finest, Medeski, Martin, and Wood. Thanks for watching, and happy listening.